Hello, I'm Carol, and this is Eric, and we are flirting with realities. Dun, 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 dun.
Yay.
Welcome.
My microphone's okay. Yours looks good. We're ready to go. How's everything going?
Amazing. I have nothing to complain about. My life is fabulous.
So I don't know. I think we have probably like a lot of people that will listen to us every week, but
So many. It's overwhelming.
yeah,
The comments, we can't even.
Yeah, we can't answer all your comments.
I know. I hope you understand.
But we have entered a different reality. And when did we enter?
A few weeks ago?
Well, I think we were actually entering in pretty close to New Year's. Was actually when I think at least I was like, whoa, something's happening here. Like something's going on. I mean, is that how it was for you?
Yeah, I mean, basically.
I think New Year's started it, but it's been official for me for a week or two. I don't know.
I think two-ish.
Two-ish. Um, so I guess like anybody who has been listening to this, I kind of went through, like, I figured out that I was having some negative self-talk, and I didn't realize how much it was affecting me, and so I was kind of dealing with that. And I mean, not only is it gone, but it's been replaced by amazing.
Yeah.
And so everything feels so amazing right now. Like I mean, I have changed my life drastically in 2 weeks, and really it was more like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days that I had to put in some effort, maybe.
Maybe.
But my life is like so crazy right now. Like, just feeling good. And I think you're in the same spot, aren't you?
Absolutely.
But you didn't really overcome any demons or anything, did you? Or you kind of did.
I mean, I have a little bit. I was working on those things where you're at the store and you get annoyed when someone stops their cart in front of you. I mean, like, who do you want to be? Well, so I've absolutely worked on some deeper things that have elevated me to another level for sure.
Yeah, I think I was probably dealing with it more than you. Like, I think I have more, like, if you want to call it like a dark side, I had more of a darkness, or like more of an anger. I don't know what you want to call it, more of a getting caught up in that sort of shit. But I think, like, when I look at you from outside, like, you did have like just like a little, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
think
for
like
sure.
I think like you have overcome it too. But I think that's but that's kind of where we're at, right? Is when like, not only did we fix these little things, but like, we're on this momentum train. Like, we're on a fucking train, and it's like, it's like going.
I feel like it's a bullet train.
Yeah, but here's the point: is it's a train, and
Yeah.
when trains are going, you don't just fucking push the brakes. They don't stop. Like, if you want to stop a train, you got to wait for it to go down the tracks a long time, and then it'll finally stop. And I feel like that's where we're at, is like, we're on this train, and it's just like, whoa, it's caught so much momentum.
It has, but what's so weird is, for me, and I don't know if it's this way for you, is each day seems to continue to elevate.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'll think of something else that's some gratitude, something, I don't know, reading Think and Grow Rich. Like, it just is every single day.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's a train. It's a
Yeah.
train, and like a couple things started going right, and then it just turned into a huge snowball, and that snowball is just rolling down the hill right now, and it's like I'm almost not putting any effort in at all, and my life is improving on the daily.
Yeah.
I
Well,
I,
what's
I think I am putting in
I was
time,
just
but
gonna say what I'm definitely putting stuff in, but it doesn't feel like effort. It's
well,
an
yeah.
effortless feeling. This morning routine I have is literally sometimes 2 hours, and some people might find that monotonous. Sometimes I'm like, I could use more time than that. It is literally effortless.
Okay, so we both knew this, but we're both agreeing that like we're on like some other level, and it's not like hey, I got a bonus at work. I got a $20,000 bonus at work, and so we're spending that money and we're high on it, right?
Right?
Or we got a new car and we're high on that. I got a
Yeah.
new job, we're high on that. Or we're in a new relationship can last for a long time. It's not. That's not what we're doing.
Mm-mm.
It's not what we're doing. So why don't we rewind it? And anybody wants to know, like, how are we on this like amazing run? How did it all start for you?
Well, I think it started with the cold bath sauna breath work routine.
I
From there, like within days of that for me, I decided to quit using my phone.
oh yeah, you kind of got into a lot all at once. But I guess for me, I didn't get into so much at once. It was just sauna and cold bath. And I'm not even sure when did we start the breathing meditation? Did we start that right away?
For me, but I'm a little behind you with the sauna.
Yeah, whatever, like 3 or 4 days though. Not a big deal. But I can't remember if we did the breathing. But so before all this started and I was building the sauna, we had the conversation. We sat down and we were like, can you imagine? Like, can you even imagine? Like we were happy people. We were,
Yes, very happy.
but I didn't realize that I had this little like hateful self talk. But I was still like a generally happy person living like what I consider a good life, and I was very grateful for it. But we had this great life, and we were like, "Can you imagine? Like, think about this. Think about this. Like, you're gonna get the sauna built. We're gonna sit in the sauna. Okay, but we already work out,
Mhm.
and we already eat good,
Mhm.
and now we're gonna sit in a sauna, and then we're gonna cold bath, and then we're gonna do breathing meditation." We're like, could you even imagine where that's going to put you? Can you imagine like how that is gonna make you feel? And we were both like, "Oh, you're gonna be so out there." But like, I don't know. I guess we were right.
Yeah.
We were right, but did you have an idea of how right you would be?
I didn't know to the extent that it would I knew I was right, I just didn't know what it would feel like.
Yeah. Well, and then let's add this in there too. So exercise. We're constantly working on our feelings between each other, between the world, between anything that we have in a conflict. I feel like we're constantly working out with each other,
Yeah.
trying to,
Resolve or
yeah,
figure out
yeah.
solutions or make our lives better.
So working out, we're working on conflicts. Um, and then the sauna, the cold bath, the breathing, and then on top of that, we're like constantly pushing food.
Yeah, so the hydroponics is a big deal.
But it's not even hydroponics; it's everything else. Like I don't know how stupid this is or how ridiculous this is, but I stopped drinking out of plastic months ago. I
Yeah.
don't have any plastic. I'm either drinking out of a stainless steel cup or all of my water comes 100% through glass jars in the fridge. I was using milk jugs, plastic milk jugs. I went to a glass jar, but it's small, but like there's so many things we're doing. And I think a lot of people would look at us and go like, well, okay, calm down. But the thing is like, if you knew where I was at mentally right now, man, I wish I could bring everybody along with me because this is amazing.
It is.
I mean, it's like, whew, it is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just doing that. You make your own protein bars.
Protein bars, kombucha, apple cider vinegar, microgreens.
I'm pretty much just like trying to stay away from protein bars after I saw like a few ingredients. Like I was having those oatmeal no bake cookies. I've quit that. I'm just trying to stay pretty much real food is what I call it.
More whole food.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess actually to explain that to people, so we were eating a protein bar that we bought at the store, and I don't think most people know this, but if you buy a protein bar at the store, you better be looking at the nutritional, because most of them have as much sugar as a candy bar. Like, you literally are just as good eating a Snickers because it has peanuts and it has protein in it, and it has just the same amount of sugar as a protein bar. So
we were eating, I think, one of the best ones out there.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is we were very mindful about our protein bars. There's only, that's the funny thing, is there's only like 2 or 3 protein bars out there that aren't bad for you, but they're targeted as like being good for you. But anyway, we were paying attention to the protein bars and we were eating one of the better ones. But that's one example of how we were refining our lives, is we took that out because it has all these fillers and preservatives and all this crap. And I don't know that, I mean, if the average person started eating these and replacing it with something else, they'd probably be way better off. But that's what we're trying to say here, is this is how much we're trying to up our game, is we're trying to get rid of anything that has non-whole foods in it.
Yeah.
And so like my protein bars, for example, are now whey protein powder, heavy cream, and then
monk fruit,
like 100% cacao, peanut butter, and MCT oil.
Yeah.
So I mean, none of that. You could debate the heavy cream if you wanted to, but I do the keto thing, and it doesn't bother me. Dairy, but the point is like I have to refrigerate it. Like, it's all like pretty legit. But that's and here's what we're both talking about, though, is like we might have to eliminate that because we're talking about still up in our game. The hydroponics, like as soon as we're on that, eating nothing but hydroponics, eggs from our own chickens, and then meat from around the corner from Farmer John.
Yeah.
And that's like going to be what we eat. So, I mean, to explain to people, this is like where we're trying to go, is just elevating every single thing that we think or do or see or consume or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, don't you think, like, if people just cold bath?
Yes.
Just cold bath.
Yes. Yes.
Like, if you just filled up your bathtub with cold tap water and you sat in that daily, your life would be that's how it works for us anyways. Our life is a completely different place.
Yeah.
And that, I think the cold bath is responsible for our snowballing.
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Because like the cold bath was like so woo, and it is still woo, that like it cleared out like inflammation in my brain, I think, so I can think more clearly and I have more motivation. And I think just thinking more clearly and having more motivation is how you start snowballing and you start moving forward. Do you think that's what happened with you?
I'm pretty sure it's something like that. Yeah. The cold bath definitely is like one of the highest changing things, I believe, for sure. But for me also, I mean, it's between that and honestly getting rid of my phone out of my life. So it's like for me, cold bath and then the phone. And I mean, yeah, best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like we talked about the phone, but we're not really talking about the phone. So, okay, so let's take a step back though. So we did around New Year's. So we're already doing good things. And then we added sauna cold bath. And then we're doing breathing with Sandy with his breath meditation every night. So that's our nightly routine. So we went from like trying to figure out our nights, like sitting there just talking was, we tried that. We're both good with that, but it was just kind of easy to get distracted and do something else, I guess.
Yeah.
And so like we would sit in front of like YouTube and watch some UFC fights.
Yeah.
And then so like we would just decide like this is our new nightly routine, which is like so easy to relax
It is.
and talk. Like I guess if I didn't like you, like if we didn't have a good relationship, like I'm not sure I would want to sit in the sauna with you.
Yeah. I mean, we'd probably do it separately.
Which would still be a good nightly routine.
It would, absolutely.
Yeah, so if you can replace like TV or your phone or whatever. So anyway, we found a good nightly routine. And so that's what we started doing. How much do you think breathwork meditation has added to this? Like, do you think it's added a lot or a
I
little?
actually do. Yeah. I think it's more than we realize.
I think it's helped me, but I think it's helped me in the fact of learning to meditate with other meditations, or learning to distract my mind or control my mind. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I don't know that like the breathwork meditation has improved my life. Well, I mean, I guess that is improving my life, but it's more, how would you say that? Like indirectly
Yeah.
improved my life quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like the cold bath makes you feel like you, so people don't understand, like you get out of the cold bath and the very first time I ever did it, you were in the kitchen and I came walking out and I was like, oh, like I had to like I couldn't really walk really well and I couldn't talk and like I was just like, whoa, like somebody hit me in the head or something. I think it's just like so much dopamine is hitting you so hard.
Something's
Like
happening.
something's hitting you so hard. Like it's literally like hard to deal with. It's almost like being super drunk in a way. It's almost like, oh, like I gotta sit down, like I can't deal with this. But it's a pleasure. Um I totally got distracted what I was saying.
You were talking about the cold bath and how the first time you did it, you were very
Oh,
woo and came out to the kitchen and
yeah, but that's I get that way like on some of the more challenging breath meditations. Like the one we did the other night, that was you had a breath retention for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, meaning you hold your breath for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. You don't breathe. And then, so you hold your breath for that 2 minutes, 45 seconds, and then you take a deep breath in. Like when you take that deep breath in, it's like I get pretty like, wow, like this is intense.
Yeah.
Like, so, how much of that is like the cold bath where you're getting, I don't know if that's just oxygen or if you're getting a dopamine rush or what you're getting, but you're getting something out of that too.
Yeah, I think there's health benefits to that and like getting oxygenated blood to your brain is like a big deal. I don't think it's as obvious, like you said, is the cold bath, but there's definitely, I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to those breath holds. I don't know why. I like look forward to it every night.
Well, that's another thing we've been discussing is deprivation.
Yeah.
I had a serious moment when we were doing some breath work and I was holding my breath. And I told you about this, but I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, like I don't ever have any gratitude for my breath. I have no gratitude. How many people are listening to this going like, why would you care about your breathing? But think about this, man. Like you can just breathe in right now. You do this all day. You just go, you take that for granted. Like
You do.
what if you couldn't breathe? Like maybe there's some people out there that are listening to this that like they're on oxygen or they have trouble breathing. Like
Asthma. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's such a great thing to be able to breathe. And when we do these breath retentions, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is so uncomfortable. I can't breathe. I mean, I became so grateful. And then I told you I started like tripping out thinking about like my death and my last few breaths and how when you die, you're only going to have a couple breaths left. And how much are you going to wish that you would have appreciated your breaths when you had them? Because now you're taking your last one or two and it's over.
I know it's really weird, and I've told you, that's included in my daily gratitude session, and I think about it intently.
What, your last breath?
No, being grateful for breathing.
Oh,
I I do this whole kind of thing where I am grateful for my breath, but I'm grateful that my body is doing all these functions that it just lets me do all this and be animated and I don't have to do anything,
yeah.
but it keeps me alive. I think it's a big fucking deal. Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing to think about while you're holding your breath. Quite a moment.
It's intense. The gratitude for breathing.
Yeah, so if that's one thing that maybe we could get across to people is even if you do like if you're not interested in some of these health things is doing a gratitude session, how that can change your day.
Let's get into that more in a second. But we're at cold bath sauna,
Breath work.
breath work, and then where do we go from there? What was the
Well,
next step?
I literally within a few days was like,
Phone. Your phone.
yeah, January 1st, I was like, I'm not using my phone anymore for 30 days, but it's gone beyond that. Like it's just my new normal.
And that's done what? Been okay? Been,
It
how
is
would you
like
explain it?
a relief and
Since
well,
when was it a relief? How long did it take for it to be a relief?
immediately I noticed a difference. And I wasn't I'm not a big social media person. I wasn't really I'd already taken a like step back from it and not really I was basically going on Pinterest and because I started that TikTok shop, I'd been on TikTok a bit. I had not really been using Instagram or Facebook. Like I might go on there to check a message, but really wasn't on there. So I also would, scour the internet for questions or research things, but I mean I've even like very limited I don't even really go on Amazon and I'm very purposeful if I do. It's like I set, okay, Saturday morning, I'm going to go on Amazon and get this thing that I've been thinking about. I don't just go on there and start looking.
Yeah.
But immediately it's made a difference. And there were times where I had nothing to do and I forced myself to just sit there with myself and not have anything to do. And I actually think that it's an amazing thing to be able to sit and do nothing. It's rather difficult.
Yeah. So it's funny because so you did the phone thing and I was like, okay, have fun, like good luck. Like sounds like a kind of a crazy idea. But you quit the phone and like I had no intentions of quitting, but and I don't even know if it was your experience or not, but I shortly after that started paying attention to how I felt and like what was happening. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't like being on here. I don't like the way I feel. Like, and so I mean, I almost immediately, well, I think it was immediately after you did.
It wasn't long.
I just stopped like limiting, or I started limiting my time like greatly. And I started feeling better. And is that when I started removing my phone?
Yeah, and leaving it out
Yeah.
rather
So,
than having it by the bed.
well, the problem with me is like, I don't have that issue with you where I'm like, or like you were explaining where I sit on the couch and like I have to be okay, like just sitting there doing nothing. Like I'm always doing something anyway.
Yeah, you
So
are.
like I don't have to like figure out how to sit there and be okay. I'm like always just doing stuff. But I guess my phone for me kind of takes away from when I'm doing stuff. Like I do more stuff now, which it's just what I do. I guess that's what I like, but um, it's not hard for me at all. Like I don't even miss my phone. But anyway, I fill my time or take away my time with my phone, and even like constantly looking at like what's Bitcoin doing, or like just constant like you were saying, like I got to remove the dots. I got to remove the dots on my apps. Like I just gotta like it's a part of the system that I'm in. I've got to like cycle through. This is what I do. This is what I do. Okay, now start over, and like do this and this, and that's what I was doing. And so I think it was Joe Dispenza was like, oh yeah, it's like I think he said 86% of everybody who wakes up, the very first thing they do is they grab their cell phone. And I was like, oh. And that's what happens to me. Is like I can be in the bedroom and I'm like, okay, well let me just like I'm super tired, don't really feel like getting out of bed, and like I've got to check emails anyway, so I want to just check them in bed while I'm comfortable in here. And the next thing you know, that turns into like you're in bed checking emails or dicking off, doing whatever you're doing, and it's like it's been a while, and you're like, oh, I feel like crap. And so I'm like, well, this is over. Phone's gonna go like in the kitchen, and it's just and then I can't deal with it before or after bed. It's gone.
Yeah.
I can't even see what time. That's another thing. I'd like always check what time it was, and like I was checking like, well, what's the weather? Like I don't really care what the weather is going to be like, but I always check it.
Yeah.
Like just
yeah,
wasting my time.
It's amazing what you like. You're on there, so you'll just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go here and here," just because you can.
You're wasting your life.
You are.
You're wasting your life.
You're absolutely wasting your life. There's so much better things you could be doing.
Okay, so we're at like exercise, sauna cold bath, breathing, meditation, and we took away the phones, kind of.
So at that same time, I think you talk about Joe Dispenza. I think that was like.
Well, my birthday is middle of January, and it was well after middle of January, wasn't it? When Joe Dispenza started coming on, or we watched like the CEO something.
Diary of the CEO, yeah.
So we watched like the Diary of the CEO, and he had Joe Dispenza on there. You started watching it, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm halfway through it," and then I don't even know why I really picked it up. Maybe I saw you watching it or something. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I was going to watch this, and I watched that, and my jaw was like on the floor. My jaw was like on the floor. All the stuff he was talking about, I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
What is this man talking about? Like, and man, I feel like there's always been like cults, like I want to call it Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Right? Like cults, or like all these people like kill themselves, and there's always like this cult leader, and I'm always like who like gets in these cults and lets this guy tell them what to do? Like what? Like it's so weird, right? Or like Scientology or something. I'm like, this is so weird. Joe Dispenza could totally be my cult leader because he does something to me when he speaks. I just sit there and go like, oh my god. Like this guy, whenever he talks, you don't even have to say anything important, but I'm just like, oh my god, he's like spitting out just these truths for me.
Yeah.
And that's that whole podcast with the Diary of the CEO was just he was just saying things that were like changing my life. I couldn't soak it up enough. Like I should probably watch that 4 or 5 more times because everything he was saying made total sense. Stuff that I should have thought about 1,000 times or known. It was all painfully obvious.
Yeah, but I think you need to be ready to. Yes. Simple, obvious. It is. Yes, for sure.
Drinking. But one of the things he said, I can't remember. I think he brought it up or I noticed it, and that's when my self-talk. Like so, I mean, it that actually ties in with social media and the phones too. I'm not sure I realized that until like a week ago, but so what I would do is I'd go outside to work, and I'm trying to learn how to paint cars, which is not super easy to just learn. Like I don't have anybody,
especially when you're teaching yourself.
Yeah, I don't have anybody teaching me or showing me what I'm doing wrong. I'm just going out there and trial by fire, and I'm falling in the fire and burning over and over. but lost my train of thought.
You're talking about social media.
Oh yeah.
And
So I'd go out there and I'd paint the cars, and I wouldn't do a good job because I don't know what I'm doing, and so I'd be really critical of myself. And all I can hear is these imaginary people in my head going, "Oh, well, that's screwed up. We didn't do a very good job there." And then I get in this weird like fantasy land where I'm like, well, I'm learning, like, and I'm like defending myself and like doing just all this weird stuff, but it's happening over and over. Is all I can hear is criticism from people. I'm just living this fantasy life. I'm just beating myself up the whole entire day. And the funny part is you can only do that so much until your work just completely goes to shit because you're so frustrated with these imaginary people telling you how you're a horrible person or whatever. And so then your work even gets worse. And it's what self-destruction is. I mean, it's the definition of self-destruction. I was destroying myself. Nobody else was doing it. But it I just realized this like last week is how much of this comes from social media because like the other day, I still go on social media because I try to post for my business. But I was on there the other day and it's always the welding posts. Like Facebook does it to me on purpose. They give me a welding post and then I see like a comment of somebody going like, "Oh, that weld sucks." And then you look at the comments and it's just like it's so insane. All these people are like, "I never welded, but I could. It can't be that hard." And it's like, dude, like it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts to see how critical people are of other people. But I realized that the other day or like last week, I was like, oh, well, that's half the reason I was going outside and doing this fantasy game with myself is because I was on social media and I'm reading how critical people are of everybody else. And so I'm like experiencing it's like it set me up. And
yeah, I mean, that's a big deal when your environment is,
constant,
yeah, yeah.
constant. And that's what I'm saying. It's got to be. This isn't just for men and welding and cars, and women and like their shoes and their hairdos and their dresses and like how much criticism is there of women online? Like I don't even know, but I imagine it's a lot.
I don't either because I've never partaken in comments.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's like it's all this criticism, and I don't know how other people. In fact, I do know how other people deal with it is because the people who are criticizing don't ever get criticized because they don't ever do shit. They're just telling everybody else how bad they suck. And so everybody who's doing shit is just taking this insane amount of criticism, which is crazy. But even me just watching it was abusing myself.
I mean, I think it's kind of feeding that thought form
100%.
and giving it energy.
Well, but that's the crazy thing is you know, whatever, the most talented person in the world could post something on Facebook. He gets 400,000 likes, and then he gets one guy that's a critical dickhead, but that's what you're reading. And so, and it's like, if 1% are critical dickheads, well, that's what you're reading all day. And so that's what you're making up is who's out there. That's what society is. And I don't think that's true, right? There's so many people that like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what example I gave you the other day, but I read something and somebody was being critical on it. Oh, it's like Joe Rogan. Somebody's like, "Oh, Joe Rogan, you suck. You're like the mainstream media," and they're just going off on it. I was like, dude, he just has an entertainment podcast. Like, why are you getting so mad at him? Like, but it made me realize, like, oh, like he gets criticized. There's 4 billion negative people on his posts, but it didn't change the way I looked at him. They didn't change anything. It was just like, oh, there's just negative people talking on his posts.
Yeah.
So it kind of gave me relief. But anyway, that was a huge deal for me is to realize that I had this negative self-talk to get rid of social media, to help get rid of it. And then Joe Dispenza tells me, he says, if you don't like the way your life is going, how do you want it to go? What do you want to fill it with? And then my answer to that was mindfulness. So being in my moment. So if I'm sanding the paint on a car, like I am like This is my example is like coloring book. Like I'm going to color perfectly in those lines. It's going to be a very difficult coloring book, and I'm going to color in there very perfectly. And that's the same thing like it goes when I work, is like I'm going to sand it. I'm going to like get my glasses on, like get a magnifying glass, and I'm going to like just very detailed work. And that keeps my mind busy and off this criticism thing. But also gratitude has been so insanely helpful to me.
Life-changingly helpful.
Life changing. Life changing. So where are we at? Cold bath, sauna, breath work, phone, and then we fell into Joe Dispenza.
And then I think you started doing a morning
I don't want to talk
routine.
anymore. What have you done? I feel like I'm talking too much.
I mean, I started the morning routine a while ago. I don't know when it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
Weeks ago.
So you've been waking up early.
Yeah, like 5 o'clock in the morning.
When did that start?
Can't honestly say.
Well before Christmas?
I think I've been doing it a little while.
Did it start because you couldn't sleep? Or did it start because you purposefully wanted to get out and do it?
No, I wanted to get up and do it.
I feel like maybe it started a little before Christmas.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us what are you doing with that?
Well, I set my intention for the day.
Well, what do you do first? You wake up?
Yeah, I just wake up and make a cup of tea.
At what time do you wake up?
Anywhere between 4:45 and 5:45 usually. I don't have an alarm set. I just get up. Um I look forward to it. Like I'm excited to do it. So it's easy to wake up. Sometimes I wake up and I think it's time and it's only like 2:30 in the morning. But
Nerdy.
it is a little nerdy. But so I make myself a cup of tea and I sit and set my intention for the day.
What does that mean?
It's how I intend for my day to go.
So for an example,
Um,
I'm gonna get dressed and then I'm gonna go to work.
no, I don't get that like detailed. It's very like I intend to focus on compassion and kindness today.
Okay.
I intend to work on my gratitude. It's very specific, usually towards my attitude.
Like a goal of what you want to do, kind of.
Yeah. If something that I'm like working on, like maybe not judging people, it might be focused on that. Um, it could be like I intend to like text my dad, and it could be that specific. It can get a little more detailed, but it doesn't really like I'm gonna wake up and get dressed and I'm gonna wear my purple pants, and like it's not that detailed.
Well, how many do you have a different intention every single day, or sometimes you?
Sometimes it's the same, and sometimes it's
Often it's the same. So I feel like that'd be a lot to have something
it
different every day.
depends. Like if I had something go away I didn't like the day before, that might throw it off a little bit. Like it threw a new wrench into my like something I saw about myself that I wished I would have handled differently, or so that might bring something new to it. Or I meditate like 3 times a day.
Now that you're in
And
the
yes.
train,
I mean, I was meditating a couple of times a day before that, but now it's 3. And so sometimes a new meditation can give me a new idea, or these books I'm reading. I'm reading 2 books right now at the same time, The 4 Agreements and Think and Grow Rich. So sometimes that can give me like things I haven't thought of. So it might be something new to work on. And then I do my gratitude session, and then I go into meditation, which can be anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half sometimes.
and your gratitude, you said, was you focus on one thing.
Mm-mm.
Oh, what do you do for gratitude? I forgot what you said.
I have a lot of things.
Oh,
I start with focusing on like because I want to feel a sense of gratitude. So maybe I'll think of like Tyler, my son, like how much I love him, or Hallie, and like how grateful I am for having them in my life. And then I'll get that feeling. And then I'll just start going because, or I'll even think of you. Like it gives me an intense like
yeah.
feeling, and then I can start placing that towards other things that wouldn't be as strong, but because I started with that, it can make it that strong.
Well, that's a super interesting point. Like, don't lose your place here in your morning things because we want to hear more. But that's kind of what Joe Dispenza walks you through too, right? Is he's like when he's like, well, how do you want to change your life? Like, what do you instead of like beating yourself up over criticism, how do you want to feel?
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part for me. Is like, well, how do I want to feel? But then he walks you through these meditations, and he's like, okay, so feel that. And mine was gratitude, because the feeling of gratitude is so amazing. It is
It's like,
so amazing. It's
I
the best feeling
believe,
ever.
the second highest
What's the first?
vibration. Enlightenment, I think.
Um, well, but he talks about like
Don't
what
quote me on that.
mine was gratitude. Is like I want to think about gratitude. I want to be grateful all day long because that's one of the best feelings I can imagine is being grateful. Um, but it even happened to me this morning. Is like, man, I'm like, I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Oh well, no, I didn't wake on the wrong side of the bed. I had to deal with it,
Yeah.
and it just instantly kind of put me in a place. And I'm like, okay. And so I went and meditated, and you know what pulled me out of it was gratitude. As soon as I started thinking, like, because I'm doing gratitude too, but as soon as I started thinking about what I'm grateful for, I was like, oh, and then like my brain's like, no, 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 people, assholes, don't want to deal with them, and they're like, and then I was like, no, and then people assholes, and you're like, no, and you just pull it back, and you can like watch your, I guess your vibration, I don't know what it is, or just like being pulled, and you can like make it just raw, make it go. So it's interesting, like just thinking about a feeling, like you know, if maybe somebody's listening to this, you could think about something, think about your dog that you love or something. You know, think about something that makes you feel good and like focus on that for a little while. And then it just sets you in a different direction.
It does.
Why are we focusing on
The negative.
this? And then it takes you that direction. But that's also what Joe Dispenza talks about is you're addicted
to
that
there.
negative shit that you're enjoying.
It's
That's
a
where
trip.
you got to want to get away from that in the first place. But if you're thinking of if you like thinking about dealing with people and how they're assholes, well, then you're probably going to think about it. Like you have to break that addiction first. You have to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, just yeah, man, thinking about gratitude and like, oh, it is like, I'll get to my experience with that too. But so, what do you go through your gratitude?
Yeah. It's usually probably about 15 minutes. And it's pretty much the same every day unless something new like of course we didn't have the sauna cold bath breathing going on, so that's been a new part of my gratitude session. So I have some new things coming in, but
That you're grateful for?
yeah, for sure. And then I've added the thing from Think and Grow Rich where we did that statement about our business we're doing together. So I'm doing that as well. I like this morning I forgot to do it because it's still new. It's only been a couple of days, but I did it later in the loft. I'm trying to remember to do it in my morning routine.
Well, I think that's the conclusion we've also come to is like this is all great, but you've got to make it long lasting. This isn't great if it goes away in a month. I mean, it is, it's cool and all, but we want to keep it going.
Yeah.
So it's habits.
So yeah, so that's what Bob Proctor talks about because I've been listening to his book, and it's just about one, be kind to yourself if you fuck up a day, and then just keep doing it. Keep doing it because your paradigm is the way it is because it's been programmed in there, and you can be reprogrammed. You just have to just don't give up. Like, for example, he was talking about people who are on diets and just give up. Like, you're going in the right direction. It's about to become a lifestyle, and then you quit, and then it was only a diet.
Well, you know what the classic example of that is somebody who does a diet. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. Somebody's doing a diet and then they're strong 6 months in, they're losing a bunch of weight, and then they're like 10 pounds away, and then they lose their shit and they eat a bunch of ice cream and well,
It's over.
I tried. And now it's back to the regular diet. Like, whoa, no, you can have a bad day.
Yeah.
You can have a bad day. You just tomorrow.
With anything.
Yeah, tomorrow you just don't have a bad day.
Yeah.
Or even if you do have a bad day tomorrow, if you have a bad day for another week, no, we're still going back. We're still, but it's like once they break that momentum, then they go, well, okay, well, I tried. Shoot.
I went to that Matthew Hussey retreat, and he gave a good example that I'll never forget. He was talking about people changing their habits, and he's like, look at it like this. Like, if you pick up that cigarette and you smoke it and you had been trying to quit, he's like you notice it and you're like, you just get rid of it and go, yeah, no, I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't like torture yourself. Just move on from it. Just be like, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Don't know why I did that, but
yeah.
Be easier on yourself.
Yeah. To keep everything going. But just going back to your morning routine.
Yes.
So you do gratitude and then you do what?
Well, that's just been it, but meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
And then I'm adding in this new.
What do you do for meditation though?
I do a lot of Joe Dispenza meditations and Aaron Doherty.
Oh, his are pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoy his. And I sent you Muji. Muji I more use like in the car, like on my way to work. Because he's really good for me to like center myself, not to think and just be. I like the questions he asks.
Mm-hmm. I did his this morning that you sent me.
Yeah, so I do his I meditate in the car while I'm driving, but I know that's a little weird, but
I think most people do anyway.
Yeah, I think it is kind of a meditation to drive. But yeah, so normally it has been intention, gratitude, meditation, and then I'm done. But like I said, I'm adding in this new, very exciting thing, which went really well in the loft today, where we're working on our new business together, and we've developed this statement that's sort of a manifestation of where we want it to go. So it's reading this statement and then feeling what it's like to have this business together and have this statement become reality, which was really very cool today.
Kind of like meditating and believing that it's true to get there, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's like basically convincing your subconscious it's already done.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess a lot of what we're doing is we're trying to change our programming. Like that's what my programming was about the criticism. Is I'm changing. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to think this way anymore. I'm going to think this way.
Yeah.
But that's also with business, right? Is I'm not going to think this way. I'm going to think this way. And the way I start thinking this way is to start living that way.
Exactly.
Start being that person, which is, it seems like a lot, but maybe it won't be. Maybe we're a couple weeks away. And I mean, that's how everything else is working. It seemed like when I watched Joe Dispenza and he's like, yeah, you got to think about how you want your life to be. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a lot of work. You know, a couple days later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, life's amazing. Like I don't live my life like I used to. Yeah. And it's like so easy. This is crazy. It's so easy. Why would you wait to do this? And it's like, I don't know.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah. So is this the last thing? Like, so the next thing I worked on is I also started doing a morning routine, and it occurred to me I never wanted to do a morning routine because I'm like, dude, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I've got stuff to do. I got money to make, people to talk to, like all this stuff. And I guess maybe I've been doing my morning routine for a while because I was sitting on social media and I was wasting my time like on Instagram or something. And I was like, hold on. I go, your phone gives you like your weekly report, and you're like, how did I spend like an hour and a half a day on Instagram and 2 hours on Facebook a day? And you're like, that's crazy. And I was like, hold on. Like, I'm not going to allow myself a 15-minute meditation in the morning, but Instagram is sitting here right here telling me you're going to take an hour and a half of my day. I go, this is a bunch of bullshit. Like, I'm going to give myself that 15 minutes of meditation. And that's all it took. That's all it took was me to realize that. And so I changed my morning routine. So now my phone's not in the bedroom. Well, and actually, there was a Joe Dispenza thing, is what it was, because he described his morning. So I'm kind of following him until I work my way out. But he wakes up and he figures out his day first, because then he can meditate without thinking about his day, which made total sense to me, because I would sit there in meditation and think about everything I need to do for the day. So he wakes up, he figures out his day. And so that's what I do, is I figure out my day. And then I kind of just like enjoy my morning a little bit, which to me right now, that means like caretaking some plants and drinking some kombucha. And then I figure out my day, and then I move on to like a meditation. And so I've moved on to all that, and I meditate. And then when my meditation's done, I don't even open my eyes, but I also go into a gratitude session. And I feel like this is one of the most significant things I have found in my whole entire life. And it's through the Joe Dispenza, how do you want to act? How do you want to live? How do you want to think idea? But it also tied in with my gratitude and my meditation. It's just everything's coming together. This is the weird thing. But so I figured this out is sitting in my meditation. And then it was actually, this only happened last week, didn't it? Or 2 weeks ago?
I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Because I asked you, I'm like, well, what, here's what I'm doing for my gratitude. I don't even know. Maybe it's been more than 2 weeks. I don't know. But I asked you, what are you doing for your gratitude? And you said, and I thought you said you said one thing. Because I was doing 5 things. I listened to Andrew Huberman, and he's like, for your morning, like think about 5 things you're grateful for. So I was doing that, but they were all like, I found myself like rushing through them, or like, it's too hard to find like 5 things every single day that are significant. Like I can be like, oh, these pants are great. I'm grateful for these pants, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So now I think of one thing that I'm super like insanely grateful for that gives me that feeling. And I'm like, woo, like I'm grateful for this. This is amazing. But this is where it changed my life, is I decided that I'm going to be nothing but 100% grateful for the first 15 minutes after I'm done with this gratitude session. And I did that for the first day, and my mind went batshit crazy. Like it was just grateful for everything I touched and everything I saw. And then the thing that was the most amazing is I couldn't shut it off. My brain enjoyed it so much. It got so addicted to the feeling of gratitude that it did not, I couldn't stop it. Now it's like, if it was bad for me, I'd have a real problem right now, because I wouldn't know how to turn it off. And so I did that day, and I was like, oh my God, like my day was just the best day I've ever had. And so like I started doing that with you. We did it on the weekend, and that even felt amazing with you to sit.
Yeah.
Whatever that was, like a Saturday. It was Saturday. Saturday, we came up with this plan of 15 minutes, nothing but positive or gratitude that comes out of us.
That's it was a lot of fun.
It wasn't even hard.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't hard at all. And then so I've kind of like taken this on, like I'm trying to push this into like regular life. Like if you ever hear me say anything negative, I've got to say 2 grateful things. But the funny thing is like there's just not a lot of negative coming out of me anymore, just because of this super simple thing that I started doing.
Yeah.
All I can do now, my whole days are full of gratitude. All I do now is think about things I'm grateful for, because the feeling, it's like shooting heroin all day long.
Yeah.
You feel so good that you just don't, why would you ever stop? Why would you?
Yeah.
It feels amazing. But sometimes I wake up like I did this morning and I'm like, ugh, ugh. And so it's like, but that's what the morning meditation is, right?
Yes.
Or not the meditation, the morning routine. The morning routine is to tweak your mind and put it in a path. And then you get it going and you get the momentum, you get that path going. And now you start dealing with the world and you can start dealing with it better.
For sure.
And so that's what I've been doing with my morning routine, is like, let's get thinking straight. And then let's start bringing in the world that usually fucks with you a little bit, and you can handle it now. And then, I mean, even at the end of the day today, I'm like, woo, like I feel great. And like, to be honest with you, it wasn't that great of a day, but I felt great. Like there's a lot of crappy things that happen. And I had these guys come over to install a windshield in my car, and I ended up installing it. But I'm so happy it got done. Like the windshield's not cut right, the gaskets weren't right, like nothing was right. It was a clusterfuck, and the guy installing it was so upset that he wanted to leave multiple times. I had to talk him into staying. But I'm just so grateful it's done, and I'm grateful how it turned out. Like everything's great. Like my glass is half full. It's half full, and that's how every day of mine has been going for like, I don't know, a week or two. Every day has been amazing. I don't even have negative thoughts anymore. I do, but they're so insignificant, and they used to rule my life.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah. Do you have anything else significant that came up?
I'm really just enjoying this book. Yes, Think and Grow Rich. It's pretty big to me. Like I enjoy reading most of the material I read, but this is like really, it's just tying everything in even more on another level.
But that's what we're talking about, right? Is we're on this train.
Yeah.
We're on this train.
Yeah.
Snowball train. We're on a snowball train.
I
It's the
am.
same thing.
I've already told you that I'm working on not cussing. I've already cussed like 3 times. I noticed it already. I've cussed on the podcast. I'm working on not cussing right now. Not for eternity. It's just something I like to do, these little things in my life that are like, I cuss a bit. So it's a little hard for me. And I think it's good for you to do things that are hard. And yeah, so I'm working on my words.
Yeah. What was I thinking of? My brain's kind of not focused, I guess. Need to meditate. I don't know. It's been amazing, but I'm trying to think of all these significant things. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about, was how, this is what we're talking about, is a cold bath is like, okay, so I feel like it's changed our lives. It got this momentum going or whatever. And it's been a wild, like we're just like snowballing on the train, but I don't know what to give credit, but that's what I was saying. So I've had this issue where I've had too thick of blood, high hematocrit, or polycythemia, I think they call it. And so I've been like having my blood drawn for like 5 months. And it hasn't helped because I'm only doing it monthly. My doctor has me doing it every 30 days, which your blood can recover in 30 days. So I need to do it every week. They typically do it every week or every other week. That's what they tell me. But I'm doing it every month and it hasn't changed. And then all of a sudden now, we've been doing the cold bath sauna meditation. I don't know what to give credit. But all of a sudden, I went in to donate the blood, and they were like, "Oh, you're barely eligible to donate. You're barely considered high right now." I don't know. Maybe that's just how it goes. I don't. Maybe something happened. I don't know. But then I was saying, like, my blood pressure was the lowest it's ever been since I've been monitoring it in like the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. And I'm about to go to the doctor. I'm about to get my blood work, and I'm going to test my cholesterol. And everybody can have a field day with this one, but my cholesterol has been like really high, but I don't care because I eat super high fat, like I eat crazy high fat. And like I've discussed with my doctor, it's not really a problem if you don't have high blood pressure. I just kind of said I don't have high blood pressure. I had higher blood pressure.
Yeah.
Now my blood pressure is like super low.
Yeah.
Is what I was trying to say. It was pretty average, but now it's super low. But I didn't have high blood pressure, and I don't have like um, whatever. I don't have like diabetes or anything like that. I don't have any problems that cholesterol.
Markers.
Yeah, I don't have any problems. So I had high cholesterol, but I'm excited to get my blood work because I want to see what the sauna and cold bath is doing to my cholesterol. My guess, well, and meditation is my guess is my cholesterol is going to be dialed. And if it's not dialed, it's going to be way better. And then time goes on, I think it's going to get even better. And the point I'm making though is like how much shit is solved from a cold bath, from mood to health, like physical health.
Well, I also think, yes, cold bath for sure, but I think your thoughts
Yeah.
impact your health as well.
Well, but yeah, and I'm leaving out some stuff that I've been meditating about that has changed.
Yeah.
And some of it, and that's the funny thing is like, I'm being weird about it because I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's changed, but it needs to prove itself to me.
See, and that's a thing. Like my kids, I've told you about my brain tumor that I believe that I healed myself. Do you need proof? I mean, I don't have any signs of a brain tumor anymore. I just had blood work done and I'm not taking my thyroid and my thyroid's normal.
Well, your thyroid was high.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, well, I guess this is just my thyroid's out. And then you took thyroid medication. And then you said, I don't want to do this anymore. And you stopped taking your thyroid medication. Now your thyroid levels are fine,
Yeah.
which is like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So, but that's my next step that I was telling you. Like we're talking about increasing our lives. I'm going to start working on my meditations because I am on thyroid medication and I want it gone. I've been on it for 10ish years now, and I'm getting off. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it will. But we'll make a podcast about it. And it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
the thing is like the crazy thing is if I come on here on this podcast and I go, guess what? I'm off thyroid medication, first time in 10 years. I think a lot of people are like, well, that's kind of weird. You know, but it should be like,
well, for sure. I mean, I think anyone's mind should be blown if you had a brain tumor and you meditated and you don't have a brain tumor. And I have to say, even confess that it doesn't blow my mind. So why is that? It is mind blowing.
I think it's because you know, I mean, I don't know a great way to say this, but there's so many people that lie in the world, and this is such an unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like, I don't know if Carol knows what she's talking about. Even though I trust you completely, but it's like even Joe Dispenza, like I'm not saying that guy's a liar either, but he said some lady grew her thyroid back after I guess it was cut out or something. I don't know where it went or what happened to it.
It was cut out.
She grew one back, and it's like it's the same thing as like, okay, Joe, like all right, but even he says he's like, it's really hard for me to believe because it's so like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like you got rid of a brain tumor? Okay, Carol. Okay. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. If I come on here and I'm like, I'm off thyroid medication, it'll be the same thing. People will be like, okay, whatever, for sure. Yeah. It's just something that you don't believe. It's just not an easy thing to believe.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I don't even think about it in terms of, oh my gosh, this is an amazing thing. Even I don't myself think that way.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is like, so I've had these other health things that are like, I don't even believe myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. I'm waiting for them to prove themselves because I've been working on these other health things for myself and they're resolved. Like, or they seem they're resolved, but I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I spent like, I don't even know, 30 minutes meditating and there's just, that doesn't,
There is
there's
a
no
way,
way.
though.
Well, there is, but it's like, okay, but there's this thing that you and I have been talking about, that if you try to think about certain things, your brain will not allow you.
Yeah.
Like, what is there? You have a good example of that? Something that like you can't think about even if you want to.
I don't
have
a good example.
The only example I have is so offensive that I won't use it. But there's just things, and if I could ever think of it, well, I'm not going to come edit this podcast, but there's just some things that your brain will not allow you to think about. And I feel like this is one of them.
This is a good example. Yeah.
It is a good example. Your brain won't let you think about, oh, okay, Carol got rid of brain cancer.
Yeah.
Because
the lady grew her thyroid back.
Yeah. Because then you're not in the system if you believe that thing, or even think about it.
Like, that's what you've been told. Like,
but the system's so protective of the system. The system wants you to stay in the system, because if you go out of the system, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going to. It's pure chaos if everybody leaves the system.
It is.
Just stay in the system. And so you can't think about, and I think that's what this is. Meditation is like, even though I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think my health problems are taken care of, but I only spent 30 minutes. Like, how is this a thing? I can't even think about it myself. It's not allowed, but I guess that's what meditation is taking yourself out of the system.
That's exactly what it's doing.
And allowing yourself to think these things and be wild and think about doing things that you shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
It's a lot to think about, and it makes you feel crazy, to be honest with you. It makes you feel like I don't know why you would think about these things, and I don't know how they're even becoming true, and like it's a lot to think about, I think. Especially like we're kind of crazy people, and it's a lot to think about. You know?
I mean, I've told you since I met you, I'm a little woo. I mean, I believe it all. I think that we're capable of amazing things that we don't even understand. And yeah,
well, it's like I posted on Flirting with Realities on Facebook, and I said, and this is all true, is like the first thing you have to realize is that you control your reality. And then the second thing you have to realize is, why are you creating your reality to be what it is?
Yeah.
Because both those things are true. Like anybody, you got to watch, like, well, it's so probably hard to watch because our audio is horrible on our first podcast, but wasn't that our first one? Like, you made everything up?
Yeah.
But it talks about how you made everything up. Like, everything is made up. Like, you have made everything up. And the truth in that is that nobody is living the same life. And if we're all on Earth and we're all just humans, we'd all be living the same life with the same truths and the same things to see. And that's not what it is. Yeah. Everything's made up. You've made everything up. I made everything up. And so if you're making things up, then why don't you just make things up the way you want them to be?
Yeah.
Why would you make up a crappy life?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It is.
It's ridiculous. And so why don't you just meditate, and then you make up all this crazy stuff about how awesome life is, and then all of a sudden it is. Or is it? I don't know. Who cares? It's all weirdness.
It is. It's fun.
So I think that kind of catches us up, but it's like, it was yesterday. I was with my kids and you were with your dad, but I texted you and I was just like, today is so almost hard to deal with, like, feeling good. Like it's like an intense, I'm feeling good. You know what I mean? Like it could slow down a little bit and I'd be fine with that. Which is a crazy thing to say. Like, why wouldn't you want to feel good? But it's like there's a lot going on right now. Like, I was having things just hitting me, just going like, whoa, like, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess just another thing I want to add into is like the gratitude thing being so special, is that good feeling. And like you and I were talking about, is like anybody, any person who watches this, anybody who watches this has so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you have anything to be grateful for, man, you're in a bad spot.
Well, another thing, Joe Dispenza will even say this: fake it at first. If you have to, start your gratitude session. I have to admit, when I first started mine years ago, I was in a shitty marriage.
Oh, really? You had a hard time thinking of things to be grateful for?
Yeah, I mean, I did. At first, it took me a while.
That's funny. That's a funny thought. I'm going to share something that maybe I shouldn't. But years ago, when I was going to therapy, my therapist told me, she said, you know, one thing you can feel better about the person you're in a relationship with is you can have gratitude. Think of one thing you're grateful for that they do a day. And so I started doing that, and it actually made my relationship better. I was like, oh, like I'm starting to see some things that they're doing rather than just all negative. And I didn't really understand that as gratitude at the time. It was just an exercise that my therapist was having me doing. But I was like, wow, this really has made my life that much easier. And so my kids were super young, but I sat down at the dinner table when we were eating, and I'm like, hey, I've got an idea I want us to all do. I want us to all go around the table and we're going to tell everybody something that we're grateful for that they do. And so, you know, I'd talk about my significant other, and then I'd talk about each of my kids. I'd tell them something that I'm grateful for that they do. I'm like, okay, well, now it's your turn. And we'd all take turns. And my significant other wouldn't do it. Like past day one, she was like, fuck this. This sucks. And she wouldn't even do it. And I was like, I didn't know what to think at the time. I was like, whoa, like she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't partake. And both my kids were like, I mean, they were probably like 2 or 3 at the time. So they thought it was like the coolest game ever. And they'd be like, I like this about her. And it was like the most ridiculous thing in the world. It didn't even matter.
Cute,
Oh, it was so fun to do. And it made everybody feel good. But my significant other was like, I'm not doing it. And she couldn't think of shit. She couldn't think of anything positive to say about anybody at the table. And so she just fucking quit playing the game. And I was like, whoa, that is a big deal.
It says a lot about.
It does.
Yeah.
But maybe you should start thinking some positive thoughts, because here's the other thing that I started realizing a couple weeks ago is happy people think happy thoughts.
That's true.
Negative people think negative thoughts. So if you can't think happy thoughts, that probably means you're not a happy person. All you have to do to be a happy person, this is it. This is like, we're going to make a little reel or something, like, or a short on YouTube. Right here with what I'm going to say. Pay attention. If you want to be a happy person, you think happy thoughts. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Any spiritual guru, Wayne Dyer, says, change your thoughts, change your life.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's similar throughout the self-help industry. This is like, it is that simple.
Just if you think happy thoughts all day long, you will be a happy person. It is that simple. If you think negative thoughts all day long, you will be an unhappy person. That simple. Just think happy thoughts. That's it. This is what I'm saying. Like Joe Dispenza is just saying these simple things. It's like, it's that simple. Think happy things.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can't do the sauna, cold bath, breath work, meditation, this is just like at least a very good place to start.
Well, that probably sounds like a lot for somebody who's watching this YouTube video eating Cheetos and like overweight, and they never exercise, and you know, there's a lot going on. Like, it probably sounds like a lot, but
yeah, just start with one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's what we say, right? Is do one thing.
Baby steps. Yeah.
The one thing you got to start with is you have to start with, I don't know if we agree on this, but diet. Because, well, I don't know. I mean, let's make it easier. Diet's actually really hard, but I think it's probably one of, if not the most important. Getting a cold bath every day. That's it. And that's probably going to be hard for a lot of people too.
It would really change your life, though.
But it would be the thing with the least amount of commitment that wouldn't take any. It takes willpower, but it's not the same as like eating correctly all day long is like, that's a lot of willpower.
Yeah, 3 minutes in cold water.
3 minutes. 3
You
minutes.
can do 3 minutes.
3 minutes to change your life, and then work on that, make it habit, and then let's move on to something else.
I have to add in there is like getting to know yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, how?
Hopefully that would come with the cold bath.
Well, but that's actually a huge thing, because how do I know? I don't even think unless I know myself that I have set negative talk, or that I don't think positive thoughts, or that I don't think negative. You have to know what you're thinking, and you have to know what your feelings are, and like, man, that can be a step too.
Plunging into that self-discovery was huge for me. Getting past like negative behaviors. Yeah. It's just, yeah. But cold bath is right up there.
Yeah. Well, so I guess if we're talking about, what are we doing? Oh my God, we're an hour and 16 talking about ourselves. So our secret to success has been an actual long journey.
Yes.
But it seems like I have tripled my happiness in a month. And maybe that's like
Me
wealth.
too.
Maybe it's like wealth is like making your first million is so hard. But then once you have a million, all the next thing you know, you're 100 millionaire. The next thing you know, you're a billionaire. It's like once you get to a certain point, it's just like, woo, we're off.
I think anybody who is watching this, though, has to be interested in self-discovery already. Because that's basically what we're about.
Well, so let's see if we can sum this up. So I think we're both on the same page of we started to become aware a lot through, well, for me at first, it was getting to know myself, getting to know my feelings, getting to know why I feel certain ways. But you started off through exercise?
I believe that exercise was a big deal for me. Yeah.
So,
and then it like went exercise, diet, meditation for me.
oh, yeah. So mine went getting to know myself, which I could only get to know myself so well without any help. So I did getting to know myself, therapy, which led me to diet and exercise. And then it kind of just stalled out there, which it didn't stall out. I was still looking for self-improvement, but it just took a long time. It took 8 or 9 years to work on those things. So it's not like, don't think you're going to the gym and then a couple months later you're going to do this, and a couple months later. This has been 12, 14-year journey so far for me.
But I have to say, this is what it's about. This is the life experiment.
Yeah.
It's your journey. And I think 10, 12, I love looking back on my journey, and let me tell you, there's some rough spots, but I have zero regrets. And that's part of my gratitude session, is being super grateful for every single thing that has gotten me to this point today.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, though, is, who you are today makes you who you are tomorrow.
It's true.
And so it's, you just have to want it, and you got to have the motivation, to live a better day tomorrow. Because that's like we talk about, is there's the old cliche. I've heard a lot of people say this, like, oh, well, that person, they spent their whole life eating healthy and they got in a car accident when they were 40. Ha ha ha. I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat pizza and ice cream. And it's like, dude, you're missing the point, because
the quality of your life.
Yeah, we're not talking about eating well because I want to live to be 190 years old. I'm talking about tomorrow. I want tomorrow to be great. And for tomorrow to be great, it's determined on how I live today.
Yeah.
And if I don't have that pizza and ice cream today, tomorrow is going to be a good day. And that's what we're doing. It's not a 190-year-old thing. It's tomorrow, or even in the next 10 minutes. Like, you want to barf because you overate. Like, it's all about setting yourself up for success. And so, you know, anybody who's interested, like, man, just a baby step today, you might only be a fraction happier tomorrow, but you're still going to be happier. And then tomorrow do something good too. And then, you know, just build, that's what we're doing. We're snowballing. And
Yeah.
then we've reached this point where, man, I can't imagine life being too much better.
I know, it's
going
crazy.
to, though. It's going to.
That's just it. It's going to get better. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. We've talked a long time.
Yeah, we did.
But I think that goes to show, hour and 20 minutes. I think it goes to show how good we feel is when we can just rant and rave
how passionate we are about. Yeah.
Guys, we got to go. The sauna's warm.
Yeah. Priorities.
Yeah, sauna's probably like 190 degrees right now. Anyway, Flirting with Realities on Facebook, but mostly we're doing, I think most people are finding us on YouTube. So it's just Flirting with Realities, I guess. People have a hard time finding us on there when you tell them about it, but I don't know. That's probably where you're listening to this now anyway, so you already found us. Just look at our channel. And if you care, then you can like and subscribe. And if you want to do a comment, I think we'd be up for like having subjects and stuff, maybe, or feedback or whatever you want to do.
For sure.
So check us out, Spotify too. We're getting we're up to like a play per episode on there. On some of them. On some of them, we're not that good on other ones.
Insane.
Yeah. So check us out on those couple platforms, and we'll chat. Probably not on Facebook though, because we don't get on there. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.